Hi there, and welcome to the weekly Astro weather from Monday, November 20th until Sunday, November 26th. We have a couple of big movements this week as we move into Sagittarius season with the Sun and Mars both entering Sagittarius, as well as Mercury, everyone's favorite retrograding planet, is going to start its retrograde shadow on the 25th of November. So let's get into it with Monday the 20th in that dream space, 1:51 a.m. We're going to have our Chiron wounds just a little poked on by the moon in Aquarius. It's going to be a positive aspect, so we might find having some dreams in that problem solving space about showing up as ourselves and really how that will affect people around us. So we will start being able to see the positives of when we do advocate for ourselves. All right. So then at 9:33 a.m., we start to see a bit of annoying energy rolling in. So this could be communication first thing there Monday morning walking into work, and it is going to be an idea that feels to us like we are being stopped on our forward motion. And we will be being asked by this aspect to try and understand how this change, how this stoppage needs to be able to bring us comfort. And we'll have to try and find a way for it to feel comfortable for us in order to see it as a strength. Because then at 9:53 a.m., we enter a bit of fight energy with that discomfort. And this will be a square between the moon in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus. And that Aquarius moon is going to have some issues with the change that is being asked of it, because it is likely to be that there is something that, that Aquarius moon energy was going to get out of a social situation or a team or a meeting or something like that. And that Taurus energy in Uranus is going to be bringing a change that makes it a little bit more serious. So just be careful. This is a rebellious fighting energy here, and that Taurus need for material comfort could really have us acting out and doing things like overspending, okay? So then at 4:01 p.m., we get a nicer aspect. We get the moon in Aquarius making a sextile aspect with our north node, which is in Aries. This will give us some easy flowing energy that will show us how moving towards our greatest good, moving towards our goals here will really be accepted if we can adapt to changes, because this is the energy of allowing the Uranus and Taurus upheaval to work itself out in a creative way. And Aquarius energy is very good at adapting, so we will be able to work those energies together here. At 4:56 p.m., we see a semi-sextile between the moon in Aquarius and Neptune in Pisces. So this is still a positive aspect, and it will be asking us to be open-minded. So that Pisces energy in Neptune is about dream, it's about illusion. And this adaptation skill of the Aquarius nature will help us see that although it might be difficult at first, if we find a new way of doing something, we can make it work. And that Pisces energy could be bringing in a little bit of fog and a little bit of passive nature that could make it annoying to be discussing these changes with that Aquarius moon around. At 7:09 p.m., there is a quintile aspect between the moon and Jupiter. And so this energy is going to bring us that desire to want to expand, and it's going to help us head toward comfort and abundance. That is what Taurus is after here. And we will want to take some risks here in order to create that order, in order to create a bit of organization. We might feel a bit restless with that Taurus energy because it is quite stubborn when we are thinking about change. And this could show up in a social situation as someone who doesn't want to get on board with the new plan. Okay, so if you've got plans Monday night, there could be a bit of pushback from the people that you're planning it with. Okay, at 8:20 p.m., we get a quintile aspect here, the moon and Mercury in Sagittarius. So with this communication, it will be quite direct and a bit kind of out there and adventurous, because Sagittarius will want to find a way to communicate the reasons why it needs that expansion. So the person who, if it's you or somebody else who doesn't want to adapt to these changes, will find some very fiery communication that will hopefully uplift and be quite positive and adventurous and get everybody on the same page. So at 8:38 p.m., the moon will square Mars in Scorpio. So this is taking action, but it is from an intense place of desire with Scorpio here. And Scorpio could pull back from its connections and the situation if it doesn't feel like there is a deep enough bond and understanding with the situation that's going on. So this could be that person who doesn't want to adapt, just going home, okay, and wanting to isolate because they don't believe that you understand them, all right? That nature of Scorpio can get a bit like that if it doesn't feel like it is understood. So this could also lead to like a disconnection from emotion because Aquarius energy is quite comfortable doing that as well. And you just need to be careful that if you are disconnecting from your emotion in order to move forward here with that Scorpio energy around, you will alienate these people who may not be able to see what the forward movement is, okay? And then the moon goes void at 9:49 p.m. with a square between the sun and the moon. So this is going to be quite an uncomfortable void moon, and really no big decision should be made at all during this time. Because even though this is the sun in Scorpio coming in to shine a light on how we need to open up our minds, and how we need to get back to our thoughts of collective thinking and how a decision and action can affect not only ourselves but those around us, the sun in Scorpio is going to make it an awkward emotional situation. And it's going to try and find comfort in that. But the moon in Aquarius is not really into feeling these deep feelings, and it will try and pull back. So the whole void moon period is kind of flavored with this idea of a battle between someone who wants deep emotional bonding and someone who is quite happy to just kind of rebel against that idea. All right. At 10:34 p.m., so we are still going to be in this void moon period. So everything will be under quite a haze, and there will be pieces of this conversation that we cannot see through. So 10:34 p.m., there's a semi-sextile aspect. Now this will be some Pluto Capricorn energy coming in with a bit of annoying discipline. And that's trying to help us see some clarity through the fight energy that we are in, and through what that sun in Scorpio is coming to show us about our emotional nature in Aquarius. Then at 10:53 p.m., there will be an anxiety trigger. So if you are someone who is prone to anxiety, Monday night, you are likely to have a little trigger there in a relationship dynamic, because there is an aspect between the moon in Aquarius and Venus in Libra. And it is going to be pushing for an uncomfortable change. And the purpose of the anxiety and of this uncomfortable change is to really help us see where our energy might be stuck and where we might be using an obsessive energy instead of thinking things through. And so Aquarius energy, so we will need to reconnect with our emotions by talking this out with people, the people that are involved, by communicating with them and with also ourselves, to bring us back to the idea of how we are affecting the collective and the part that we are playing in this, the discomfort of this energy. And with Venus in Libra being part of this connection, it is going to be looking for balance inside the relationship. And so luckily, that Venus in Libra will be able to support us to see this argument from both sides, okay? Then let's have a look at Tuesday, November 21st. So at 1:29 a.m., the moon is moving to Pisces. So a Pisces moon is that dreamy, passive, don't rush around kind of energy. Keeping to a schedule becomes difficult because we would rather live in the dream world. We'd rather stay in that illusion. It's quite an emotional energy. It's very intuitive and it's very creative. It's not really great for grounding yourself and having arguments. And it's really not great for any kind of rigorous mental or physical work at all. And this will be especially prominent energy because Saturn is now direct in Pisces as well. So he is wanting to push forward with our value systems, with dishing out the karma for hard work that we have done. So there's going to be quite a push of this Pisces energy this week. So at 2:44 a.m., so in the dream space here, we do get a conjunction between the moon in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces. Now, this can create quite an uncomfortable, depressed, melancholy kind of a vibe. So if you are waking up here on Tuesday feeling that way, feeling dissatisfied, feeling introverted, very, pushing up against insincere and stubborn people. This is where this is coming from. There is likely to be an alienation kind of feeling from your loved ones because you will be stuck in a delusional energy and the feminine energy will be quite unbalanced, all right? And then we get a little trigger here on the Chiron wound because, of course, we do at 3:14 a.m. when there will be a semi-square between the moon in Pisces and Chiron in Aries. And this will allow that delusional state that we are already in the dream space to really get deep and open up that Chiron wound in a really uncomfortable way. So waking up on Tuesday is going to be a bit of an uncomfortable energy, so keep that in mind. We will see at 8:26 a.m. a positive aspect with the Sun in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn. So this will be the Sun coming in to shine some light on the things that we've uncovered in the shadows while we've been looking at this Chiron wound in our dreams. And this is an aspect where we can start seeing a powerful change that can occur here with in relation to our relationships. So, and it can be where intimacy can be explored and it can bring you closer together to people. So we are having this Chiron wound opened up, and then the Sun's going to come and help us really understand what is in the shadows. With Pluto in Capricorn and the Sun in Scorpio, it is also a really good time to ask if you need any assistance with financial matters from powerful people because they will be feeling more inclined to offer their advice, okay? At 10:38 a.m., the moon will make an opposition with Lilith in Virgo. So this is that Pisces moon fighting with Lilith in Virgo here. And the moon in Pisces will want escape, and Lilith in Virgo will want to make a plan, will want to make a judgment, will want to be discerning about the situation, about where we are not standing up for ourselves, okay? And so we can use this I believe nature of the Pisces energy along with the I analyze nature of the Virgo energy, and we can look at the places where we have let ourselves down through the filter of using our emotional nature to manipulate, okay? This is what makes it very uncomfortable, a very uncomfortable aspect here. So if we have attached our own needs to emotional traumas of other people and of situations around us, this is going to give us an opportunity to see how we used that as an excuse and how we use that as an escape mentality from facing the real situation. Okay, and that is how we let ourselves down, because when we don't stand in reality, we cannot face it properly, and we do get stuck in that anxious, judgmental energy when we are letting ourselves down. At 2:08 p.m., Mercury will make a trine with Chiron. So a positive aspect coming in here with Chiron, and this could be a communication. So it could just be a thought that you have, or it could be an external communication coming in that will help you see where you have been destructive and where you've not been showing up as yourself. And it will really ask you to speak your mind with that Sagittarius energy. And you might find that the words that come out of your mouth, if you are triggered by an external source, are going to be a little sharper than they normally would, okay? At 3:19 p.m., there will be a sextile between the moon in Pisces and Jupiter in Taurus. This is going to be an energy of looking for truth and comfort in your deepest emotional states. So really helping heal over the wounds that we have torn open already this week. But this will be a passive energy, and it does want to work together to find a creative solution, but it could be a little bit slow moving, all right? It is a great time to get around your family and to kind of remember past memories that are good, because our Chiron wound being things that happened from 3 to 23, when we are looking to heal those things, we do need to uncover them. And so we can do that under a more positive light during this aspect. And as well as that, the planets involved here do support business opportunities, do support making good money, and do support decorating your home as well. So depending on what your Chiron wound is, one of those things might indeed help you heal that. At 3:28 p.m., we see the moon making an aspect with Venus, and this is going to help us look for balance in a relationship. So we'll be able to see what needs to be let go now in order to show up as ourselves. And we will be able to use that I believe energy of Pisces to trust that relationship balance is possible. And this will help clear up any of the fog that has been around while we have been kind of inundated with that energy of being unsure of how to show up for ourselves. At 4:18 p.m., the aspect between the moon in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus will be a bit of a restless energy. It'll be a bit of that dreamy, passive Pisces energy with all of the feelings, and it will have Uranus in Taurus coming in and asking us to look at the material world as well as the dream space. And, Uranus in Taurus, it wants to bring us big change related to money matters, big change related to our comfort and security. And it does get quite possessive of these things. And so there could be some unexpected ideas showing up around those that make that Pisces energy a little bit uncomfortable. So make sure you write them down because Uranus energy does come in and leave us very quickly. So just be aware that when we are thinking about things during this aspect, it will be asking if the change is coming at the cost of our own comfort, okay? Then at 5:27 p.m., we see a semi-square happening between the moon in Pisces and our north node. Because, of course, as we start making these changes, our future goals, so our north node projections, they've got to ask some questions. And so here we see those questions being asked, and it starts bringing up some frustrations as we look at the balance in our relationships in terms of our long-term goals for it. So that Pisces moon could be dreaming up something that's in a delusionary state and bringing that really heavy blanket of haze into the reality. So just be careful of not being too stubborn while you're in that place and too selfish, because there will be an energy of being unfocused on the give and take. And even though we are looking at shedding out worn situations and ideals, make sure you try and see it from both perspectives before you make a decision. Then we get to November 22nd. Here we go, Wednesday morning in the dream space. We see the moon making a semi-square to Pluto. So moon in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn, and this is going to be frustrating. Those two energies do not align very well. And this is where we are going to have to decide if the discipline required for shedding that situation will be worth the result. At 1:33 a.m., a sudden change or new idea in that relationship dynamic coming up in your dream space will show you that there is indeed something that needs to be let go. And this big Venus energy here is going to bring it into the space of being about a relationship dynamic and about money and about your self-worth. At 2:31 a.m., an aspect coming in with Venus and the moon is going to show you some sudden change spaces here, and to show you how letting go and looking at compromise can be taking place in a dream space. So because we have the moon in Pisces and that is a deep emotional intuitive space, and because Libra doesn't really like making decisions, we will be having to make a compromise from a really uncomfortable place, all right? Now, because of that, we are then going to have our Chiron wound a little bit picked on, but from a positive aspect at 4:36 a.m., when the energy will see us trying to be a little bit more open-minded to the emotion and to the imagination of that Pisces energy. And that using the imagination and that delusionary state can actually help us see new ways to heal our Chiron wound, even though the energy could be a little bit annoying because it's that passive water energy coming up against that Aries fire energy. So because of that as well, this next aspect that we are, if you are getting up quite early Wednesday morning, 6:15 a.m., is a square between the moon in Pisces and Mercury in Sagittarius. Now, this is going to bring a delay in communication. Travel is absolutely not supported. So, this is your late to work energy. This is getting lost in places you've been a million times kind of energy, because your focus will be off. You will be mentally unstable. There will be thoughts of yours that will be spiraling around some emotionally upsetting ideals. You could have had a fight with your siblings. You could have had a fight with somebody in your work community. This is the energy of sending a text message to the wrong person, of sending a text message using words that you don't fully agree of the intentions to. This is the energy of saying something you will regret later, okay? So Mercury in Sagittarius, with its lack of care for how its communication is really heard and received, It's in a fight aspect here with a deep emotional Pisces moon. So just be aware of that. People are going to be a little bit more sensitive. And so any communication that comes across offensive at all is going to hit on a deeper level, especially because in the dream state Wednesday morning, we have been looking into our wounds. Okay. At 12:17 p.m., Mars will make a sextile aspect with Pluto in Capricorn. This is going to bring us the action and problem-solving energy we need to work through that fight energy, okay? Because Scorpio will want to take some deep and passionate and intense moves, and Capricorn is going to come in with some discipline and show us how to do it, okay? At 12:35 p.m., we get another great aspect here for dealing with this situation. We get some nice, creative, easy flow energy between the moon in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus. This is going to help us flow with these changes to our emotional state. And it is going to be a lazy energy. It is going to be quite passive toward the change, but it is going to help us see that it is for the greater good. And everything comfortable will be highlighted here, okay? So this is like a Wednesday lunch, go and eat a little bit too much, okay? This is that energy. So just be careful, because with all of this Pisces energy around, if you are someone who falls into addictive tendencies, and so whether that is drugs, alcohol, food, overhelping someone, overspending someone, with overspending money, this is the energy of slipping into that very easily. So be careful, because we will be very emotional. At 4:31 p.m., we come into a semi-square with the moon and Jupiter. So Jupiter is going to have a problem here with the slow, lazy moves of Pisces. Taurus is a hardworking energy. Jupiter wants to expand. Pisces probably ate too much at lunch and doesn't want to do anything. So Jupiter also is a place in our chart that shows us where we like to feel a little bit extra, whereas Taurus doesn't like change. But Pisces likes to be a little bit extra. So these two energies will be having quite a little fight here at 4:31 in the afternoon on Wednesday. And just, try and pull back, all right? Because, you cannot be fighting someone's comfort if they are sticking their heels in the ground with that Taurus energy, okay? At 6:55 p.m., we see some annoying energy coming in here as the Pisces and Aries energy, Pisces moon, Aries north node, really tries to see some clarity through some illusions. And that Pisces moon creating illusions all over the place, because that's what it does for 2.5 days while we are in Pisces emotional energy. And, Aries doesn't like that. Aries is very direct. It wants to take action. It wants to move. And so as we are thinking about our goals here, we will be it's like self-deception energy. We'll be deceiving ourselves into thinking we can't achieve it. And it's going to make Aries energy very cross and very impulsive and explosive towards other people, okay? If we can work with this energy in a positive way, we will be able to use that fire of Aries in order to push forward, in order to see through the haze, okay? And as we roll into the aspect at 7:45 p.m., which is the conjunction between the moon in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, we might be able to see where we need to go from an imagination perspective. Just be careful with this Pisces energy Wednesday night. Do not be putting yourself in a position to fall back into bad behaviors that will take on addiction tendencies, because this delusionary state with the moon in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, it can really intensify this energy. So this is going to be like very hypersensitive energy, all right, on Wednesday night. And it's going to create a lot of nervousness because we won't be able to see things clearly with all of the Pisces energy around. And it's going to make our instincts quite inaccessible, all right? If you are someone who does things from instinct, someone who does things from impulse, which with us with the Aries energy around with that node, we are all going to be feeling a little bit impulsive. And with the Pisces energy here, because of that nervousness that it is creating, we might want to emotionally manipulate situations, like telling white lies, in order to maintain some sort of emotional balance and control. So someone could be telling you a white lie, or you could be the one speaking your white lies to others. So this could also bring up some new energy around how to heal a childhood wound, and how finding strength and energy in our illusions that we didn't know we had. So when we are healing things, we need to remember that we do need this illusionary imagination dream space, because if we are programmed in certain ways in the material world, we sometimes can't see outside of that box in order to see that it is possible to heal from these things. And this energy, if we really tap into it, it is the energy of childhood wounds and our inner child. And if we can see, oh, how would a child fix this problem? And you think about children saying things like, I'm going to fly a dragon, I'm going to be an astronaut. Okay. They really think outside the box. And if we can tap into that energy during this, we will really see a new way of healing these childhood wounds. And it's going to give us, if we can tap in correctly, a profound emotional connection with ourselves and in turn with the people around us. And that will be in order to see things like where we might have sacrificed ourselves for others and where we might have gone into escapist tendencies to avoid this nervousness, because energies like being nervous, like those sort of negative feelings and emotional reactions we have, are trying to show us something. And Pisces likes to escape that reality. And so this energy could really, if we tap in to our emotional connection with self, we can use it to see these things more clearly with how the way that we sacrifice ourselves for other people is negatively affecting our experience. And then Thursday, November 23rd, the dream space energy is starting at midnight with an aspect that could be causing a little bit of frustration. It is the energy between Venus in Libra and Saturn in Pisces. And it is showing up here to really ask us about sacrifice and to really pull in that energy around that relationship sacrifice that came up last night. And it is going to bring up some anxiety triggers around where we need to find peace and how we may have been lacking that balance in the past. Then at 1:02 a.m., happy solar return, Sagittarius. The sun moves to Sagittarius and out of Scorpio. This is going to put us in a curious, adventurous energy. This is going to want us looking for our own meaning of life, for the purpose of the world in general. It's going to help us activate our spirit and our survival natures. It's going to bring in a lot of questions, all these questions about higher education, about law, philosophy, religion. It's going to really open up a thirst for research, and that is going to awaken this really sincere and willing idea around wanting to understand things. Sagittarius is I understand energy, and it will make a lot of these things we're dealing with much easier to see. So at 1:28 a.m., now newly in Sagittarius season, the moon in Pisces will make an aspect with a Pluto in Capricorn, and this will be a positive aspect. And this will be, big daddy discipline Capricorn coming on in here to help us see through the delusion and to help us see through any victim mentality that us or anybody else might be having that we use to escape reality. And Capricorn's going to come in here wanting us to learn an emotional lesson, and he will be supporting us to do so. Then we see the moon going void at 2:09 a.m. with a trine to Mars in Scorpio. So this is going to be a void moon phase in our dream space that is going to offer us an easy flow. These are both water signs, they are both emotional signs, and it will really make us see how we can take action and how we can still be aware of our emotional natures and how those two things can work together. And by working those things together, we will be able to see the action of the escape tendencies and how they are related to our emotional state. So as well, in the void moon phase at 3:44 a.m. while we are sleeping, we get a bit of an uncomfortable opposition between Venus in Libra and our Chiron wound. So this is a bit of a hard poke from a relationship dynamic. This could be something coming up in the dream space that has happened to us in the previous days. And this is going to be showing us where we have not learned an emotional lesson. And that will be related to where we were wounded in our Chiron. So wherever your Chiron is in your birth chart is going to get a little poke, okay? And it's going to show us where we may have had an inability to embrace this I am energy of Aries in order to show up and ask for the balance that we need for ourselves. So at 4:19 a.m., thankfully, as always, the moon moves out of Pisces and it moves into Aries. Now, this will be heightened fiery emotions. This is a fire moon energy. So it is the energy of being able to get things done. It is also the energy of being able to put our own needs first, but it is a racing through things energy, okay? This is quite an impulsive energy. So at 4:34 a.m., the sun in Sagittarius will now make an aspect with the moon in Aries. And this will help us find some untapped abilities in our ability to show up as we are. And it will help us move forward and enjoy the journey to figuring out what is for us. So this is quite a happy aspect. These are both fire signs. They will work in cooperation here. They will combine their forces, and it will be, two fire energies lighting up this dark haze that we've had in the past few days with this Pisces moon energy around. So at 5:41 a.m., the moon will make a semi-sextile aspect to Saturn in Pisces. And this will be the moon in Aries asking us to be open-minded, to be more direct when we are dealing with our value systems and our structure. And we will be able to start seeing what challenges we need to overcome from seeing what we are repressing, okay? Now, then at 12:15 p.m., an aspect between the sun in Sagittarius and our north node. This will be the sun lighting up what needs to be let go. So our north node being our purpose, and the sun coming in now newly in Sagittarius with its adventurous energy and its forward-moving nature is coming in to be like, what do we need to let go to push through Sagittarius season, pointing in the right direction? And these would have been things that we found in that Pisces moon energy and in Scorpio season. So really deep shadowland things that we've uncovered about fears, about our deepest desires, about our addictions and nightmares and those sorts of qualities. Now with the sun shining light on it, pointing us in the direction of our goals. At 1:26 p.m., Mercury is going to meet up with Saturn in a quintile aspect, and this is where we will be able to start creating order in the way that we want to communicate these new values that we have uncovered. It's going to have us caring a little bit less about the opinions of others, and in this aspect, that is a good thing because we are talking about values that are important to us. So other people's opinions are not really valid when we are talking about values that are true to our authentic self. Okay, at 1:54 p.m., we're going to have a look in here with Lilith. And this is that fiery moon, I am energy, Aries, coming in and wants us to, take stock of who we are here from that point of reality and showing us that if we do not show up for ourselves, we will face the consequences of that. And the consequences of that, of course, are feelings of guilt and feelings of shame. And then we project those things. And so we will start seeing here with this Aries fire energy that compromise is needed in how we give service to others and how we look after ourselves. So, how we give service to others, but also how we give service to ourselves. At 1:57 p.m., we see a semi-square between the moon and Uranus. This will be a pushback from Uranus, okay? This is some sudden change or a revolutionary idea toward comfort. And Aries wants to go, wants to get started, wants to initiate. But Taurus energy does like to make its moves quite slowly, quite calculated, and very comfortably. So it will be very apprehensive about this fast fire energy that Aries has brought, and that is going to cause that little bit of a pushback, uncomfortable energy. At 5:56 p.m., the moon will make a semi-sextile to Jupiter. This is our core ideals, our truths, and now they are being looked at through the I am energy. And it's going to ask us to be open-minded about how we can expand within our comfort, okay? So still allowing ourselves to have comfort, which is what Taurus wants, but allowing us to see how we can still expand, all right? At 8:46 p.m., Bit of a fight aspect, okay? The sun in Sagittarius meeting up with Saturn in Pisces. These are two very stubborn energies. Saturn, very stubborn. Sagittarius, very stubborn as well, okay? So this is authority energy, all right? So we're talking about the energy of, your boss being overbearing, your teachers being very strict, having deadlines you think are unfair. This is also the energy to not be investing in things like the stock market, because all of these things are ruled by these energies who are now having a fight. So the boss is going to be a bit strict, but because of that, anyone that you feel holds power over you could force you into a place of feeling subservient as well. And so if you are someone who normally stands in your power, this will be a very uncomfortable aspect, as you feel like you are being forced to not stand up for yourself. So also not a good time to be asking for things at work like promotions or, raises, anything like that. Not a good time, because we will have those bosses being in their very strict and overbearing nature. Try to go with the flow during this aspect. Try to stand in your self-confidence, because it will be feeling quite low, because Pisces will pull over that shady curtain over that fiery Sagittarius, and we will not be able to really attach ourselves to that fire that we need to push through. Now, at 9:53 p.m., though, we will see a little bit of assistance coming in with Pluto in Capricorn, and that's going to bring that discipline that we need. So Aries doesn't really like to make plans, just likes to head towards the goal. And this will be a bit restless, because Capricorn, big daddy discipline Capricorn, is going to want some rules here, and they're going to try and work together, and they're working together to let go of something that is not serving us. Okay. At 11:46, we see a bit of an annoying aspect, okay? And this is the sun in Sagittarius having his first little look at Chiron. And this is going to be lighting up some really annoying and irritating facts for us about the placements of our Chiron wound. And they're going to be things that we likely do not want to see, and it might bring some anxiety. And it's going to be asking us to be enjoying the journey of discovering who we are. And Chiron in Aries is likely to be a bit stuck and a bit obsessive because of past experiences where showing up as ourselves led to negative outcomes. So because of those experiences with our Chiron wound, we put this programming around it. And often we just go our whole lives like not really noting this programming. And then when we get aspects like this, where, Sagittarius does not really care about the opinions of others, and it's going to shine its light on the ways that we played a part of these issues that came up around our Chiron wound. All right. Then happy Friday, November 24th. Let's look at the dream space energy here, which starting at 12:11 a.m., we see an aspect between the moon in Aries and Lilith in Virgo. This will be the Aries moon coming in to show us what we need to let go of. And we will be able to do that from the perspective of I am. And this will be very beneficial energy here to healing from these Lilith placement wounds. At 5 a.m., we get a very annoying anxiety trigger. So this is Mars in Scorpio, and it's making its second last aspect with the moon here before it moves into Sagittarius. So this is the depths of watery Scorpio coming to make a little check-in here, a little trigger point, and it's going to try and drown that flame that the Aries has of initiation. And we're going to have to try and push past that obstacle and still take action, even though we are feeling quite triggered in our anxiety here. Now, at 7:15 a.m., we get a little bit more of an upset energy here, because this is a semi-square between the moon in Aries and Saturn in Pisces. And so this could be someone coming in your material space, in your reality, coming in to upset your new value system, coming in to bring some truth about an ideal that you have been holding on to that needs to be shed. And perhaps this is a situation that needs to change, and you will be asking yourself, that is the result of that change worth making it? Is it worth changing this value? Is it worth revisiting this point in time to get the result at the end? So at 7:26 a.m., you'll get a little bit more information on whether it is worth it. because the moon will make a conjunction with Chiron. And so these two energies are going to come along and they're going to really empower you to find this new energy, this new power in standing up for who we are and in being seen for being who you are, for being your authentic self. And we will be more sure and more direct with our emotional needs here. And I mean, we might be a little bit too fiery, so just be aware of that. But this Chiron wound will feel very supported by the direction of this emotional energy. So then at 8 o'clock, we see another annoying and stressful aspect here, but it's the sun trying to light up the moon in Aries. And because both of these are fire signs, it's going to want to take action. You're going to feel action based. And that could cause a bit of stress here because Sagittarius likes to enjoy the journey and Aries doesn't really think about the journey. Okay. So Sag is also, he can compromise and he can deal with change. Aries, not so much, okay, because Aries is fixed fire energy, so it kind of wants what it wants. But this energy is asking us to see where we can compromise and that not all compromise has to involve negotiating on our emotional needs. That is what we are looking at here, okay? So at 9:57 a.m., an opposition between the moon and Venus is going to put us into a place of being very insecure. So the moon is in Aries, so that's fiery. It's got all of its emotional needs focused on I am. And Venus is in Libra and it wants peace and beauty and it is focused on we are and I balance. And so this could show up physically in your physical world as a relationship dynamic where one of the parties involved wants what they want. And because of that, Libra will pull back because it does not want confrontation. It does not want to make a decision, and it is there for balance and beauty. We have to remember the other side of that Libra energy, that other side of that Venus energy, which is very vindictive, very vengeful. And so this moon in Aries coming on too strong could activate that part of us where we kind of want to get revenge, where we don't really want to have the conflict, but we might go over here and think about a plan on how to upset your situation. Okay, be careful of that because we might be forced to see into the Libra mirror. Libra has a stunning mirroring effect on who we are as people. And so we might then have to look into that Libra mirror and see our selfish and impulsive ways and how they have negatively affected this relationship balance that we seem to be striving for, okay? At 2:51 p.m., the moon will trine Mercury. So this will bring that direct communication we need to this problem we are having, and we will be able to use our logical mind to deal with an emotional issue because we will not be afraid to speak our truth under this energy. At 3:25 p.m., the moon will make a semi-sextile with Uranus, and this is going to bring some Uranus support to find the change we need in order to restore comfort and balance in our material world so that it can then reflect in our relationship spaces. At 3:39 p.m., there's going to be another anxiety trigger around, okay, this quiet and anxious day, because the moon will be making an aspect with Lilith. And this is where we are going to try and see what changes need to be made to old programming in relation to this situation we are facing. So someone might show up. They might be asking you to do something that really pushes up against your own wants and needs and desires. And we are being supported to push past these obstacles without acting compulsively. So it's this energy of needing to find a space with, so Virgo, I analyze, Aries, I am, finding a space where we can analyze our own needs in order to communicate those to ourselves, to others, and to use that analyzing nature to throw out old programming, okay? At 8:27 p.m., we have a quincunx aspect between Mercury and Uranus that's going to ask us to make an annoying compromise. And, it's going to ask us, how are you going to achieve comfort in the material world? It wants to make a really hard decision, and that will be unclear. Clarity will be difficult because Sagittarius wants the journey and doesn't care about the goal, but Taurus, of course, doesn't like change and will want some stability. So it will want answers about what are we doing? What's the journey look like? What is the goal? And Sag kind of just is like, let's just do it. All right. At 9:11 p.m., there is an aspect between the moon and Mars in Scorpio. And this is the final moon and Mars in Scorpio aspect. And this is going to show us what you need to let go of. What you learned in Mars in Scorpio about taking action from an intense and passionate space, and what you learned about what needs to go and understanding the strength of standing true in your actions toward your emotional needs. All right. And then at 9:14 p.m., Mars moves into Sagittarius. Now, I will put up a more in-depth video about this, but this is going to give us a more passionate temperament, okay? It's going to make us more enthusiastic when we speak, and it's going to make us really interested in things like philosophy and religion and spirituality. It's going to help us push into that love of sports and love of travel, like all things adventurous. This enthusiasm for independence and freedom. Trivial and small things are going to be so boring, we won't want to deal with them because of this brave, generous, open nature that we've moved into, okay? We become more transparent. Scorpio season is very secretive, but in this, because we do not care about the opinions of others as much as we are taking action, we are more transparent in our actions. We will develop a strong sense of self and we will work tirelessly, okay? So there is a danger of being arrogant, so be careful about that. At 10:01 p.m., the moon will make a conjunction with the North Node, and this will be about finding a new energy, finding our I am energy, and seeing how that supports forward movement. Okay. At 10:46 p.m., the moon will make a semi-sextile with Neptune, and this is going to be our dream space and our I am energy, asking us to be open-minded, but also remain compassionate, even as we advocate for our own needs. All right. And then Saturday, the 25th of November. Now, today starts Mercury retrograde season. Mercury will enter its retrograde shadow. And so this is part one of the Mercury retrograde story. So this is the preview part, and it will last from the 25th of November until the 12th of December. Then we will see part two from the 13th until the 31st of December. And then part three, which will be the cleanup, January 1st until January 9th. I have got a video up of Mercury moving to Sagittarius and about the retrograde season already. So if you want to go and get some more details, that is already up for you to look at. So let's have a look. Saturday. In the dream space at 12:37 a.m., the sun will make an aspect with the moon in Aries, and this will help us see things that we need to let go in order to achieve the goals that we have been looking to get to. Then the moon will go void at 4:40 a.m. with a square to Pluto, and this is some violent, aggressive energy. This is lashing out energy. This is very unbalanced feminine and masculine energy, and we will be very flooded with masculine energy. That is where the aggression is going to come from, the unbalanced nature of the masculine energy overload. There could be issues with joint finances, with long-term relationships, with inheritances, alimony, taxes, those sorts of things, those scorpionic themes, which are the Pluto themes also, eighth house themes, okay? So be aware that waking up on Saturday morning could have you feeling that way. Now, at 7:28 a.m., thankfully, that energy will start to dissipate because the moon is going to move to Taurus. Beautiful, lazy, don't make me rush. I'm going to take my time, Taurus. This is a really good energy to work on our abundance and our visualizations and plans of the future. This is an energy that we do need to watch out for being too stubborn and really try and get all your unpleasant tasks done before then, because Taurus energy is not a fan of doing unpleasant things. All right. We won't want to do them. They'll feel more awful than they normally will. So just try and have things planned for Saturday that will make you feel comfortable. Really try and lean into your intuition here and try and really focus on, unconsciously manifesting things for your future, okay? At 8:01 a.m., the moon is making an aspect with a Mars in Sagittarius. So this is going to show us where a compromise is going to be needed between wanting to take an adventurous action, but wanting to maintain our comfort, all right? And wanting to have a bit of a lazy Saturday morning. This could be having to go into work Saturday. This could be having to get up earlier than you like because of an issue that requires action, all right? At 8:59 a.m., there will be a sextile aspect with Saturn in Pisces. So this is Saturn in Pisces coming in to show us where we can problem solve this compromise. This is a feminine energy being at its heightened, but also being very supported. So not unbalanced, but being supported here to be in our emotional state, but from that Taurus perspective of being grounded. At 11:43 a.m., there will be a quincunx aspect between the sun and the moon. And this is going to be the sun really lighting up a need for that compromise and showing us that in order to take action, we really need to embody these qualities of finding comfort in the material world, because that is where we will then be more comfortable to take the action, okay? This is about adventure and about being more adventurous with the way that we move forward, okay? With how we look at our emotional states, being more curious about finding out where they come from. At 1:38 p.m., we will see that Mars, newly in Sagittarius, coming in to really show us with this North Node in Aries what we need to let go of. So, Sagittarius energy, being that adventurous energy, will have a whole new look at our North Node, a whole new perspective. It's going to light a fire under some goals that we've potentially been holding off on, and it's going to show us all of the things that we need to let go of that we were holding on to, because Scorpio energy does things very passionately and a little bit slower. So this is now where we see Mars in Sagittarius trying to push us forward faster and just throwing things out as it goes along. All right. At 5:35 p.m., we see a trine with the moon and Lilith. So this is going to be Taurus moon, bringing a little bit of sensual comfort, bringing a little bit of self-love, and really looking at how we need security and where we find comfort and security. And really being able to find comfort in being ourselves is what we are going to be looking at. And that projection of our wounds relating to judgment are actually causing us more discomfort than we think, okay? And often with this Taurus energy around, it is because we are being too stubborn to make changes. At 7:25 p.m., the moon will make an aspect with Mercury in Sagittarius. This is going to be a frustrating communication, someone coming in to annoy your comfort. Then at 8:42 p.m., they will be a conjunction with the moon and Jupiter. So this is going to be your ideas of expanding. This is going to be your ideas and truths and beliefs, and they are going to become more aligned with your emotional state, with your mother energy, with your self-validating energy. And this is going to be looking at it from a point of security and comfort. And because of this, with this Taurus energy around, with Jupiter, excellent energy for money, for business things, for taking risky, taking a few risks. If you are someone who enjoys a little bit of a gamble, this is really good energy for that. If you are looking to make a big purchase, this is good energy for that. And that kind of idea of how you make your daily money, you could find yourself being more comfortable with some expansion ideas that you had not been comfortable with before. Then at 10:12 p.m., we see a semi-square coming in here with with Saturn in Pisces and Chiron. So again, our Chiron wound having a little fight here. And this is between our value system coming up against what needs to be shed. So these are old values that are going to be raising their head. They could just be coming up in our mind, but they could also, because we are dealing with Jupiter in Taurus energy around, which is material world, they could be coming up in our real world. We could be facing a situation that is going to tug on some value systems that we need to throw away. And those value systems are going to be connected to our Chiron wounds, okay? Then Sunday, November 26th, made it to the end of the week. And at 12:34 a.m., we see a semi-square in the dream space here between the moon and Neptune in Pisces. Now, Taurus is earth and fixed, and Pisces is water and mutable. And so they are looking at give and take under this aspect. And there is going to be an idea, a value, a dream, something in our material world that needs to be shed. And the question here is whether it is worth it in the long run. Okay. So then at 3:27 a.m. in the dream space, we will have an anxiety trigger about that issue. And that is because we have Mars in Sagittarius pushing up here with Chiron in Aries. And this is going to It's going to make that Mars energy want to take some direct action on the Chiron wound. And we're going to have to push past an obstacle here. This is fire energy, so we will be able to do it. And we need to come at it from an adventurous spirit. It is just going to bring up some anxiety. So you might have quite an active dream space as you work through this. At 3:57 a.m., there will be a square to Saturn. Now, Mars in Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces is wanting direct action, and it is coming up against our structures and our sense of responsibility. This is where we will be prone to getting frustrated. And, if we are working on Sunday morning, this is like really kind of aggressive energy. Of course, no one wants to be at work on Sunday. So just, your boss could give you too much work to do, even that you've had to take home, and now you have to finish it on Sunday before you go in on Monday. You might find yourself, oh, I forgot I had an exam and now I need to do all of this work. All right. There is like a power clash energy here with authority. So then we are waking up 5:45 a.m. I mean, who's getting up that early on Sunday? But this is the daylight hours, I guess. And this will be a quintile between the moon in Taurus and Saturn in Pisces. And this is going to want us to create order. And after that aggressive aspect, we are going to see that the Taurus moon here is going to be able to bring a bit of softer energy to the day. And this idea of why we need to create stability will become quite prevalent in our mind. And we will see that it, even though it was hard to see while we were in that square, the action that needs to be taken is about seeing our truth as a fact, okay? And not trying to push that truth as a fact onto other people, but being able to stand in it in order to move forward. Because when we do that, we cannot be swayed from our authentic self. So at 7:40 a.m., Mercury makes an aspect with Jupiter. This is another anxiety trigger because as we try and expand through this new energy, someone's going to say something that offends us, okay? And because Sagittarius energy really doesn't care about the opinions of others, doesn't care about how its voice is being heard, people are not trying to be offensive a lot of the time, but they will just be doing it by accident. Okay. So there will be some stress in a relationship dynamic on Sunday, but the motivation is to move forward. Okay. At 10:55 a.m., there will be a semi-sextile between the moon and Chiron. So this is a positive aspect here. That Taurus mother energy is going to be really helping you have an open mind about your Chiron wound now. So it has been quite torn open all week, and this is like a nice little cuddle, just kind of saying, hey, you're doing a good job. So it could be annoying because you might find it quite patronizing. It could actually be someone coming in that, whose opinion you maybe don't value all that well, someone who you think doesn't have any values that match your own or doesn't quite understand your woundings, coming in being like, oh, you're doing a good job. It's that kind of energy, but just be open to the actual intention behind it, which is to give your little wounds a cuddle, okay? At 12:43 p.m., there is an aspect between the moon in Taurus and Mercury in Sagittarius. There's going to be some communication, some helpful communication, and it's going to help us see what we need to let go. Because, as we go through these cycles, this is what the cycle of our lives is. We evolve, we turn into a different person, we look at that with our triggers, with our North Node, and then we need to throw things away. So this is where we are seeing what needs to be let go. And Taurus will be able to see what is worth throwing away and how it will give us strength. That Taurus energy, very helpful here. At 6:18 p.m., the moon will make a quincunx aspect with Venus in Libra. So this is where we will be able to see that letting go has to change something in a relationship dynamic. So the things that we have seen, the values that we have looked at and how they need to change and how we are healing our Chiron wound is going to need a bit of action taken in a relationship dynamic, work, family, love, friendship, whatever. And Taurus is fearful of change and fearful of loss. And so we'll find it quite difficult to make any compromises here. But, that love energy of Venus and also Taurus being ruled by Venus, the goal here is balance. And it will be this Venus energy, because Venus is in Libra, will help us be a little bit more flexible towards this relationship dynamic in order to have everyone's needs met. At 7:02 p.m., the moon will make a conjunction with Uranus in Taurus. And this is a nice way to end Sunday because this transit, even though it might give us a lack of inner balance here because there's a lot of Taurus energy around, we might be a little bit unreasonable in our views, Taurus being a bit stubborn, and we might do some strange things. Because Uranus being kind of that revolutionary energy, that kind of rebellion energy, we might do some things that people see as strange. And that's okay because, sometimes in these kind of aspects where we do seem to be like acting a bit weird, we do find new energies and new powers in standing in our truth. So this is also the energy of romantic love affairs appearing in your life. It's like sudden romantic love affairs, people coming out of nowhere, unannounced visitors coming to your house. So we are going to want comfort and changes that can remain in our comfort zone. As long as I need to make this change. Will I be comfortable when it is made? Like, this is what you need to remember with Taurus energy. It doesn't like change, but if the outcome of that change is still a place where it will feel comfort, because Uranus is in Taurus, we will be more supported to go towards it. So as long as we can find the points here of being able to remain comfortable while we are in this kind of inner balance shakeup, and while we are looking at these relationship dynamics that need to make a shift, we need to remember that the other side of making the change could also be comfort. Okay, that is what Taurus wants us to know. So that's what I've got for you for the week. There is more information, like I said, on Mercury going retrograde and on Mercury moving to Sagittarius. That is already up on my YouTube channel, so check that out. I am going to be putting up one about Mars moving into Sagittarius and what that energy shift is going to mean for us. There is also a bit of information up there still about that Scorpio new moon manifestations, and I will be popping up another one about manifesting these New Year's resolutions under this energy of closed out cycles. If you are interested in any of my other videos, like the birth chart analysis of Kanye West, which was a very interesting deep dive, that is also up there. Please like and subscribe. That really helps my channel get out to more people, because the whole goal of this is to help everybody get this ancient wisdom that can really help us understand not only ourselves, but the best way to take action in our lives. And in doing that, we become more empathetic towards other people and what they might be going through. And then together as a collective, we can join together as one in our differences. So that is the goal. The more subscriptions I get, the more access people have to this information. And that is the end goal here. If you are interested in any of my services, like a birth chart analysis, which I will scream forever, everybody needs to have one, please check my website. I also offer tarot guidance. So if you want to read the universal energy and how that can best help you, you can find those details on my website. Also on my TikTok, where I will be starting to do live tarot readings on there for anyone jumping on. So thank you for tuning in today. And as always, never be afraid to walk into your shadow and confront your wounds. Never be afraid to walk out your front door as someone the people in your life might not recognize. Always be true to yourself. And, of course, stay weird.